Hello, this is Faith of Faith and Books, and I'm going to do a continuation of a bookshelf tour that I started months ago, and I'll find it and link below. But in that tour, right here, let me move got a rosary hanging there. Let me put that aside. Okay, I started on this end, and I went all the way down to the Book of Discovery by M.B. Singe, I think was the name. That was the last one I did, so I stopped here. So I'm going to continue through that shelf right now. And I'm doing this because I happen to have a lull in activity. I'm in the dining room in one of the public spaces in the house, and it's hard to get time when nobody else is around and I can just talk freely into the camera. So I'm taking advantage of that. The first thing I want to show you is something that I, unceremoniously keep in this plastic bag, but it's very old. It's falling apart, and it is, here, I don't know if you can see this, but that is my great aunt, and this is her Latin book, and it's December 28th, 1893 is written. Let's see if we can find the cover page for it. It's very, very delicate. Hold on. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, first Latin course. So I love that. I love that I have this book from my great aunt, 1893. So that's one, and that's the first one I'm starting with. And I just sort of keep it up there. I'm sure it's like the worst way to keep it. Anyway, the next book that I have is, what did I step on? This is The Leopard by Lampedusa. I've heard of this. I think I got this from my father, maybe. Yeah, translated from the Italian. What does it say? Doesn't give the time. I mean, I'm sure this is like maybe from the, I don't know, 40s, 50s, of printing from back then. So this is something that's on I've been wanting to read for a while. It's an Italian classic. Anyway, so that's the next one. The next one that I have, I think I bought this at a used book sale or something. $3.59 it says. Gulliver's Travels. Just an old copy of it that I found. I'm pretty sure I bought this. I don't know. I'm not sure where I got it, frankly. I inherited so much from my older relatives. Anyway, it's kind of yellowing and not in very good condition, although the binding is good. I've read parts of Gulliver's Travel. To me, when you're that satirical, it doesn't work for long works. It's better for short. So I never could buy into it, the whole thing, but I have read parts. The next one is something that I did buy. I bought it at some point from somebody, an estate sale or something. It's the Young Folks Nature Field Book. Right now I'm reading a book about Beatrix Potter, and nature study, being a naturalist, an amateur naturalist, was such the thing for a long while. I really think we need to go back to it. Now we call it citizen scientists. We can help places like Cornell study birds and that sort of thing online, but back in the day, it was a hobby, an interest that a lot of people had, and so that's what this is based on. Here's a woodchuck, and it's got room for notes. So apparently, you're supposed to take it out into the field and make notes with it. Anyway, so I think that's pretty charming. See, the next thing is a very old elementary spelling book, an improvement on the American spelling book by Noah Webster. So this is a very old edition. I'm not sure, when did it come out? Does it say? Copyright 1880 and 1908. So you can see the pages of spelling words. It looks quite deadly to me. Ooh, I never would have learned to spell this method. It would have been wrapping my knuckles and putting the dunce cap on me because it just looks absolutely deadly. But there's that. Then I have this whole set of old Mcguffey books that I got from my grandmother, and they were old when she had them. I believe they were published, does it say when they were published? Copyright 1870, 1920. Copyright 1907 and 1920 by Henry H. Howe, something like that. So this is another spelling book, Mcguffey's Eclectic Spelling Book. Let's see the quaint print, and much the same as Noah Webster's, these lists of words, dictation exercises. And then let's see, we have the first Eclectic Reader, Mcguffey's first. Now they've republished this, especially in the homeschooling world. They've updated it, this 1879. I think these are incredibly charming. First Reader. I actually use these just a little bit with my children. Like here's the first story, the dog ran. I love these. These are really, really charming. So that's the first Eclectic Reader. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. Here's the fourth one. And the thing is, these aren't really graded. It's just the level that you're working at, because back in those one-room schoolhouses, you would just go until you completed it. So it wasn't really tied to grades so much. So here's the fifth. So like by fifth grade, you're reading like that. Like it's really, the thing is, once you got through the sixth level, you were considered educated. Like if you weren't going to go on to school, you were still highly educated. I mean, some of the stuff that they have here is amazing. So here's Elegy in a Country Churchyard. Milton, they've got Milton in here. All sorts of essays and all sorts of, here's a play. What's the play here? I mean, by this, honestly, it's like, oh, here's Shakespeare. It's honestly, it's like what we would expect a senior in high school to be able to read, and that would be one that was definitely college-bound and doing well. That's the level that this material is at the sixth level. Oops, almost dropped it. So, anyway, I really, really treasure these books, and like I said, I got them from my grandmother. I remember looking at them when I was a little girl. She moved in to our house and lived with us for a while, and until she died. And I remember going and perusing these in her room. And then the next set of books I have here were this wonderful Christmas gift, and I've talked about this before. This wonderful Christmas gift from my husband. He actually bought these from a used book dealer in England. This is an 1833 edition of Jane Eyre novels. So this is Mansfield Park. They were rebound, but the paper itself is 1833. Isn't that amazing? Look how tiny. And you know, they had bad lighting. They couldn't have had good eyes. Yet they read these tiny books. I don't know how they did it. Anyway, here's Mansfield Park, 1833. Northanger Abbey and Persuasion in the same volume. Let's see. Just want to see what, if they all have the 1833 date on them or not. Yes, 1833. And here is Sense and Sensibility, and Emma, and Pride and Prejudice. So this is like one of the most treasured things that I own in the whole house. This is amazing. This is an amazing Christmas gift. I'll never be able to give a better gift than that. So let me put that back, and then let me get the next couple of books out. This next one is the Meditations of St. Ignatius. And I must have gotten it from my grandfather, I guess. Yes, there is my grandfather's signature, John Brophy. So this was his, and he would buy books used because he didn't have money. He loved books, but he had to buy them secondhand. He couldn't afford them new. This says 1862. 1862. So the Spiritual Exercises of St. Ignatius. They're quite popular even now. They're still quite popular. The next book is Vanity Fair. It's kind of falling apart. And it says, Merry Christmas, Mary J. And I don't know who Mary J was. Is that somebody I'm related to? I don't know. And I have tried to read Vanity Fair, but I simply don't like Becky Sharp. I just don't like her, and I can't get that interested in somebody I don't really like. It says 1847. So that's that. I mean, I don't think this was published in 1847. Maybe that's when it was first published? Yeah, that's when it was first published, and I don't know when this book was published. Yeah, it's the Modern Library of the World's Best Books, Vanity Fair. Anyway, I don't know. And then the next one is an old library book of Ivanhoe. And I think I just picked this up at a secondhand shop. It's in really bad shape. It's in really bad shape, and I don't think I inherited this one. It's falling apart even as I touch it. So, I don't know. I just love old books. I couldn't pass it up. It was probably very, very inexpensive. So I don't know what I should do with it. But anyway, so that's that. And then the last couple of books on this shelf. This is, how many minutes am I? This is something I also picked up at the same, I think it was this estate sale. There's this secondhand shop in my town that in the back of it, they have old books that they picked up at estate sales, and this was one of them. And it's somebody's signature there. I can't read it though, but it says 1897. I don't know if you can see the 1897. And it's Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell, or by Mrs. Gaskell. And it's been soaked in water, but look, it's published by Montgomery Ward and Company. Oh, that's funny. And I don't know, pages are sticking together because they got wet a million years ago. Yeah, I can't open it. I'm afraid I'll rip it. So I don't know. I think I want, no, it's falling apart. At one point, I think I did get it open and know how old this was, but, or when it was copyrighted anyway, or printed, whatever the term is. Anyway, so that's Cranford. And then the last thing I have in here is, I think my husband also got this, a bibliography of Jane Austen. And I haven't really looked through this. I think it's just all the printings and everything ever written about her. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So if you want to look something up, here's your volume. So anyway, so that is the rest of the shelf, and I don't know if you found that very interesting, but I'm glad I at least completed one shelf. So I guess that's it. I hope you're well and happy reading. Talk to you later. Bye.